When I was least expecting it and not even searching, God led me to find my grandpa's 1935 Ford pickup that he restored in the late 90s, early 2000s-ish, and raced in the Newport Antique Auto Hill Climb for many, 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 many years. And one thing led to another, and now it's here, back home with its family forever. Bear with me if things are a little bit clunky and awkward. My GoPros have been in storage for a while because life's been so busy I haven't been recording content. And all the batteries that I put away charged are now dead, and the GoPro itself is kind of mad and doesn't want to boot up yet. So all of that's plugged in, and I'm doing the best I can with my phone for now. So I have so many stories about this truck, and I have quite the story about how it came to be home with me. But I'm going to get into all that as I go along and as I drive it and show you guys more stuff about the truck. My first priority is to go through all of the fluids. I'm going to crawl underneath it. I'm going to check the diff fluid, the gearbox fluid, and obviously check the oil and inspect the wiring and the brake hoses and everything underneath the truck and just make sure that it's good for me to start driving it and enjoying it. So here we go. I'm going to get it jacked up and start inspecting it. Funny thing, this is actually my grandpa's floor jack that he used for, oh geez, probably 30, 40 years, 50, I don't know, long time. And I bought it and a handful of things from my grandma after my grandpa passed. So it's kind of neat. That, and last night when I went and picked up the truck after work, I pulled it home with my grandpa's car trailer. Pretty cool stuff. My grandpa had a set of horns for this truck that really dolled it up nice. And someday I'll track down a pair of those, and I plan on removing these turn signal lenses and doing something different for turn signals someday. It's kind of weird working around the truck because when I was little, I wasn't wrenching on vehicles with my grandpa as much as just hanging out with him. And it's kind of funny. It still doesn't feel real that this is my grandpa's truck and I own it now after it was gone for 8 years. So okay, so I'm gonna roll under here again. Bear with me. Filming with my phone is proving to be very unpleasant whenever I've been used to my GoPro for all my filming. Okay, so at first glance under here, the gas tank is a little bit wet and I can smell some gas, so I'm going to stick you guys, what do we got going on here? There's a line right there. I've got my flare nut wrench, and I'm going to try to tighten that line up a little bit. I wonder if it has vibrated loose some. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on here. Just use your imagination if you can't see. Oh yeah, it was a little loose. I wonder if that line may need remade, like a new flare and a new fitting. I know there's different kinds of fittings and different kinds of hard lines and stuff out there. I know some are designed to be taken apart and put back together, and some are not. So it just might be one of those deals where that has been taken apart and put back together a few times, and it might be ready to be replaced or something. So we'll see if that leak continues. So now I'm going to check the diff fluid. Oh gosh, I'm running out of hands here. Yeah, and it's wallered just enough to not be a nice tight fit. Oh gosh. Okay, I'm setting you over here. Hang tight. There we go. Okay, what we got here? The suspense. Okay, it didn't dribble out. So, what do you guys see in there? Probably not much. Not much more than I can see. Let me get my bottle. Luckily, I'm stocked up on this old school gear oil multi-purpose M533 600 weight axle transmission lubricant because of my Model A, and hopefully it'll be good enough for this truck. And if someday I need to drain it out and run something different, I'm not opposed. But this is what I got, and it's certainly going to be better than nothing. You know, I should have stuck my pinky in there first to see. Oh yeah, it was right there. It really didn't even mean anything. I probably should have stuck my pinky in there first. But now we know. I want to get me one of them creepers that's got a tool tray so I can take some stuff on the road with me, you know. Okay. I'm going in. So overall, I'm really happy with what I'm seeing. It's really solid so far. Nothing that's got me scared. Oh yeah, just like the Model A, the transmission looks like it leaks some. I'd say that's to be expected. Still haven't seen anything alarming. I see some frame repairs that were done over the years, probably by my grandpa. Maybe even by the people before my grandpa that had it. Who knows? So I'm going to try to get you guys over here somewhere. Have I mentioned? It's just so inconvenient filming with my phone. It's just so big and flopping around all over the place. And the GoPro is so small that it's easy to position it. You just set it and forget it, you know? I just magnetize it to something. Ever since I got that tip from Puddin's video about the equipment he uses, I got me a magnet, and man, you just stick that magnet on anything and start talking to your camera. Oh wow, that fill plug / check plug in the side of the transmission was substantially loose. That's what you don't really want. Okay. So I took that plug out. This time, poke my fingy in there and see if I can feel the fluid level. That's not bad. It's probably ½ an inch under the fill hole, so I'll try to get some oil in there, but it really, oh man, I don't know. I just don't know. I think I need a longer hose. That seems like a really good way to spill. Oh gosh. So I guess if I have my rag at the ready, I put my thumb over the end of the hose and stick this whole apparatus up in here. Oh, this is just... Got the whole bottle up in there. Stick the hose in and give her some squeezes. I'm curious if any has stayed in there, or if when I squeeze, I got my tube where it's sucking it back up, you know? Oh yeah, I'm not. Have I mentioned how much of a pain it is filming with my phone? Anyway, I got the transmission topped off. There was a scene under there that ended so badly that it was not fit for public television. No, but I had axle grease like all the way up to both of my elbows, and had to clean it up. And while I was under there, I rolled around and felt the tie rod ends and inspected the brake hose and the brake hoses, and jiggled everything and made sure everything felt okay and that I didn't see anything else alarming. So now I am just going to feel kind of like you would with ball joints in a modern car. Grab the top of the tire and the bottom of the tire and rock it in and out and see how much play there is. There is a tiny bit, but I'm not very concerned about it right this second, and it's definitely not as bad as the Model A. I'll check the passenger side. It's the exact same. So both sides, the kingpin or whatever it's called is pretty good. So I guess now I've got my under the hood check to do, and we'll see what we got going on under here. Oh yeah, that's crunchy. I guess that just kind of sits there, and you just try not to get decapitated. The sediment bowl is not full of crap. It has the exact amount of oil that it needs to have. There's a lot of taken apart wiring that I'm not crazy about. I'll get you in here. But not a surprise, because the truck has just changed hands so many times that people have taken things apart, added things, subtracted things. There's this random wire. There's a lot going on here. They converted the truck, since my grandpa had it, to a 12 volt. I think the guy said HEI distributor. I don't know if he actually meant HEI or if he just was referring to the fact that it was 12 volt. But I'm going to see if I can switch camera lenses in the middle. Well, it kept rolling, so I think that's okay. There we go. Now I can see what I'm actually looking at here. Before I had it on selfie mode. So, you know, nothing too concerning. It's to be expected. The truck has changed hands so many times. There's going to be things that have changed and things that need addressed, but I'm not overly concerned. So I'm going to go to the other side. I'm going to check these plug wires real quick. They all feel good and tight. Oh my gosh. It's a little crunchy. It needs some work there eventually. Now, get this side popped open. The only time I ever wrenched on this truck was, did not even really count, after my grandpa passed later that winter or maybe the following spring. He passed in December of 2016. I went out to the shop and hooked the battery cables up and would take the truck for a little spin around the yard, I don't know, maybe once a month or so for a few months, just to make sure it was still okay. There's a heater hose, which kind of blows my mind. It is plugged off. That's funny. I would not have expected to see a heater hose. I don't really know if maybe they were planning on putting a heater in it so they could drive it in cooler weather. There's a lot of interesting things going on here. I don't really know what to think about. There's not, well, I guess there is, I don't know. Oh gosh, the starter cable is that. Do you see it? Can you see the slack, the looseness? I think I'll tighten that up. Okay, I'll get that tightened up and we'll get her started up here in a little bit and go for a drive. Okay, I'm gonna get her started up. It might be a little cold-natured, and I don't understand how the choke situation is, so we'll see. got a couple fuel leaks that I need to address, and we'll see what I can figure out here. This line has been rubbing on this heater hose long enough that it has rubbed a hole. So I gotta figure out what I want to do about that. Okay, I'll tinker on this and we'll see what I can do. Okay, I threw a quick flare on that, and I'm not super optimistic that it is going to work. And then I trimmed off the end of the line where it was cracked. So I cleaned up my flare a little bit. I just used a flap disc on a grinder and just cleaned it off a little bit so it wasn't so wide. And ended up using the old piece of hose. I got a piece of hose out of my stash that I thought might work better, and it was so hard from being on the shelf for so long that it didn't want to stretch over that flare. Tightened up the line going into the fuel pump because it was a little bit more loose than I would prefer. So I'm going to start it up, see if it'll sit here and idle, and then I've got my OBD2. I'm going to see if I can get it to idle a little bit better. We'll see. I'm going to run the idle mixture all the way in and go half, 1 1/4. Getting a little smoother as it warms up. Loaded up with fuel. It's flooding itself out a little bit over time. I'm not really sure what to think about that. I don't know anything about flatheads at all. I have general automotive knowledge. I've got a weird singing noise. I'm going to do some more looking around here. I'm not quite sure what to think about the singing noise. Nothing feels loose. The belt seems okay. I don't even know how I would go about tightening the belt because the alternator is like rigid mounted. And I just am kind of not really sure. So I think I'm going to take the truck for a little drive. Just go up and down the road and make sure it feels alright, and then go a little bit further if it feels okay, and see if I have any revelations whenever I'm out for my little drive. So I got to move the Model A out of my way to get the truck out of here. So we'll give you a Model A cold start. We'll see if the camera will stay right there. I sprayed WD-40 on the pulleys where the belt rides to see if maybe that could be part of it, and I could not find anything loose or anything that should be making a weird singing noise. I sprayed WD-40 around looking for vacuum leaks, and there's a chance that maybe there's a vacuum leak and I need something a little bit more combustible than WD-40, like something that's got a little bit more pop to it, like starting fluid or brake clean or something like that. Go for a little drive. It's at 2,500 RPM at 50 miles per hour, in case anyone is wondering. My grandpa would have had it set up for racing, so like a 411 rear gear, or that might have just been what half-ton trucks came with in 1935, I'm not sure. Running good, temperature's perfect, it's like 160 or not even, about 160, really good. We're approaching 180, it's stabilized like right around 170 for now. I don't know if the phone's gonna stay or do justice to how this truck sounds, but I'm gonna try anyway, and if this doesn't work I can try it again whenever I've got the GoPro. back home. Man, just can't beat the sound of a flathead, even if it might not be running quite perfect. But it runs strong out on the open road. I think I'm going to try to bring that curb idle back down a little bit now that it's warmed up and happier. Okay, that's a little bit better. Nice. All right, well, I'm gonna get a shot of it driving away so I can go back in my video and listen to it sometime. When I was a kid, my grandma and grandpa lived on a long, skinny acre, and along one side of the property were a bunch of trees that the neighbors planted, and my grandpa would get me and my buddies and maybe even one or two of them in the bed of the truck, and we'd go down to the end of the acre and we'd slide around the last tree. And I always just thought that was the craziest thing to do with my papa whenever I was a kid. And he must have had the magic touch, because I just can't quite get her swinging around my little oak tree here. It's not for a lack of trying, though. I probably went around that tree half a dozen times before I decided to call her quits. It's running great. I'm going to end this video off here. It runs great. It drives great. It runs strong. It's just as awesome as I remember. Even more so now because of the journey that the truck has made. It's just extremely special that I get to have my Papa's truck back. What could be more beautiful than a brace of antique Fords? Quite a pair, huh? So I don't know where this is going to end up in the video. I don't know if it will flow better toward the beginning, toward the end, not really sure. But wherever it lands, I hope you listen in. I've thought a lot about how I want to share this story, and there's just so many details, so many things that were just arranged perfectly by God for all this to work out. And I can't possibly sum up every detail and get everything, so I'm going to do my best. My grandpa, who I called Papa all my childhood, always wanted a 35 Ford pickup. He worked on lots and lots of Model Ts and Model As and all sorts of antique cars. And he really, really, really wanted a 1935 Ford pickup. He told his wife, my grandma Graham, that that was the one to have, and he wanted to find one. And he finally found one. We don't remember much of the story. Maybe it will come to my grandma over time. She'll remember little bits and pieces here and there like we often do that'll just, a memory will get triggered. But my grandpa found a 35, and he restored it. Sometime in the late 90s or early 2000s, probably most likely between 2000 and 2005, based on what I know about the truck and our family history. It's very fuzzy, but I think I've got it. In that time frame is when my grandpa restored this truck originally. He owned it for the rest of his life after that. He passed away in December of 2016, and up until that he raced this truck at the Newport Antique Auto Hill Climb in Indiana. He and his dad used to go, and they would take Model Ts and Model As, and then later on my grandpa got into the flathead V8 class, and once he was bit by the flathead bug, he loved that class, and it's very competitive, and he really enjoyed his Ford pickups. He built many over the years. There was a time when at the hill climb there was 7 of them in a row, and 5 of them my grandpa had built, which is a really cool legacy. There are still many of them still out and about. There are 2 of them that have continued to compete at the hill climb since my grandpa passed. And a year after my grandpa passed, we decided to have an estate sale. And we sold pretty much everything that he had. And a lot of people on the internet may think, what is wrong with you guys? Why would you do that? Why? And to simply put it, hindsight is always 20/20. I was only just turned 19 at the time, still living at home, still finishing up my college, didn't have any idea what I was going to do for a living. Didn't know how soon I would have my own place. Didn't know if that place was going to have a garage for me to work on cars and stuff. Obviously, I grew up around my grandpa and loved the old cars. But whenever he passed away, me and my immediate family, none of us were in a position in life to take on a car hobby and keep the old trucks going they have to be driven, they have to be maintained. You have to know where to find parts for them, you need to know how to troubleshoot them. There's so much that goes into it. So we decided to let the trucks go. There was this truck that my grandpa competed in that was pretty much complete, and there was a project truck that he was in the middle of building, quite literally the middle. He had the engine in, the transmission in, wired, it ran, it drove. He painted the fenders, he painted the cab, painted the doors, and then he passed away very unexpectedly. So luckily a family friend of ours bought that truck. We call it the red truck, or the 39, and it still goes up the hill climb, or it goes up the hill. My grandpa did not take it up the hill. He was building it. But this guy named Jim drives it, and he competes at the hill climb, and it's great to see it. Every year he gets a little bit more done with the truck, and it's really cool to see. So I ended up getting into a Model A a couple years ago because Model A's are more affordable, and I wanted to have a car to take to the hill climb and participate. So I got my Model A, and I've tinkered on it here and there. As people, if you're a normal fan of the channel, you know that I've tinkered on the Model A a lot, and I've got it more reliable and where I can jump in it and drive it to a car show or a cruise in or something like that. And this year I drove over the hill at Newport. There's some shorts on the channel, go check those out, of me going up and over the top. I did a practice run on Saturday and a competition run on Sunday, and both of them were 52 seconds. So it's slow and consistent. It's crazy going from driving the Model A to driving my grandpa's truck. It's just a completely different animal, and it's much more special. It's hard to describe, really, the emotions that have been going on. But I'll briefly explain. So my grandma sold it to somebody semi-local, and very shortly after, that guy, whether he got too old for the car hobby or his health got bad or whatever it may be, he sold it to someone in Kentucky near Louisville. And when it was down at Louisville, there was some odds and ends done to the truck. They took the horns off, they added turn signals, they wired in an aftermarket fuel gauge, a tachometer, and an aftermarket temperature gauge. And I was told that while it was down there at Louisville, the engine went to a machine shop and was overhauled. I don't know if it is the original engine that was in the truck and they overhauled it, or if they overhauled another core flathead and put it in the truck. I have no way of knowing. Maybe someday down the road I'll be able to talk to the owners in Kentucky, and maybe they'll remember, maybe they won't. Doesn't really matter. It runs very strong. It is a flathead that I don't know much about at all. It's a stock transmission, probably 411 gear. It's very fast. And it has hydraulic brakes, drums all the way around. Someday I'll probably upgrade to discs in the front, or maybe just a better master cylinder, or just some little things here and there to make the truck safer. It is together the way my grandpa had it whenever he restored it. And my grandpa did the best he could with what he had. So it is not perfect, and since he passed away, it seems that the truck probably has been stored outside, so it's very faded now and has some paint chipping away and some Bondo work that's starting to crack apart, like on that back fender, and the windshield frame is pretty rusted out and junk and needs replaced, but it's complete, and that's really special. So I saw the truck posted for sale the day before we were leaving to go to the hill climb. And I told my sister and my partner and my aunt that I think I found Grandpa's truck, and I just don't even know how to process my emotions right now. I don't know if we should think about buying it. I just don't know. It was a rush of emotions. So I texted the guy and asked him if he knew any of the history on the truck, and didn't hear anything back that evening. So let's see. So that was the evening before we were leaving for the hill climb. So Friday morning, I got up to go to work and had a text from the guy, and he said basically that the time frame lined up with what I was saying, that he said the guy in Kentucky had it for about 6 or 7 years. So he must have bought it from the local guy here that had it for a very short period of time. And thinking back, I should have immediately had him get me the VIN, or the serial number, rather, so that we could be looking for information to verify if it was his truck, my grandpa's truck. Anyway, I talked to the guy a lot about the truck, and I was almost certain that it was my grandpa's truck, and I wanted to go see it. So this guy had to go out of town for a funeral, and then he didn't get back to his phone for a while, and I kind of was left hanging, and it was kind of a miscommunication deal. I was like, man, I think this guy's ghosted me. I was kind of bummed, and it was just a roller coaster of emotions. Finding my grandpa's truck, not really sure if it's his, going through all the pictures and stuff, and going through every crack and every ding and every dent and every scratch and the interior is very my grandpa. It's just, I was at a high where I was like, this is it for sure. And then I didn't hear back from the guy like all day Saturday while we were there at the hill climb, and I was like, man, oh gosh, this sucks. So Sunday morning, I had accepted that it was not meant to be. And I had handed it over to God and said, I trust you, God, and I know that it just was not meant to be. So we were packing up our camp and getting things packed in the truck so that we could go enjoy the hill climb and run the Model A up the hill and eat the carnival food and go through the car show and do the whole Newport hill climb thing. You need to go to the Newport Antique Auto Hill Climb. It is amazing. And my phone rang while we were packing stuff up. It was the guy that had the truck. He apologized for not getting back to me the day before. It was an unfortunate situation. He got home really late, and he had changed the listing to sale pending, so that was another reason I was pretty much like, well, it's not for me. And it turns out he kind of meant for the sale pending to be for me. Basically, he was going to not let anyone else look at it until I had a chance to see it and see if it was my grandpa's truck. So we made an agreement on the phone that evening after the hill climb on that Sunday, I would go check out the truck. So we go about our day, we're having lunch later on, and he texts me and says, he said, I'm in Newport. And I thought, what the heck? So I called him and I said, you're here at the hill climb? And he said, yeah, I just was anxious. I couldn't wait. I just drove the truck down here so that you could see it. And I had a cow. So me and my 3 friends me, my partner, and my cousin and my best friend, we started hoofing it across Newport to meet this guy on a side street. And we met up with him, really great guy named John, old school hot rodder and car builder and car restorer, just a really, really great guy. And he reassured me, he said that if the truck is going anywhere, it is going to you, because it's undoubtedly your grandpa's truck. So I took a picture of the serial number, sent it to my family, and they were going to work on behind the scenes Monday as soon as the DMV opened, getting in touch with somebody there, getting in touch with anybody, trying to figure out anything we could. And my grandma had already looked through all of her paperwork, and she had no paperwork that she could find right off about the truck. So I test drove it, and the guy insisted that I test drove it. And I will try to put that clip of me test driving it into this video. I don't know how that will work out. If it doesn't, it is in one of the shorts on my channel. There's only a handful, so it's not too hard to find that short of me being reunited with my Papa's 35 Ford pickup. So I told the guy, this is it for sure. I can just tell. I'm certain. So we agreed that I would come back a couple days later with my trailer, because I had my Model A to take home, and I would get the truck. And he said, all right, I'll wait to hear from you. So Monday, we were doing all the research we possibly could, couldn't get a lead on serial number, would have had to file some paperwork with the Secretary of State and wait, and we just decided, you know what, this is it. We don't need the serial number to be sure. We know this is the truck. And I was on hold with my grandpa's old antique car insurance company for half an hour, 40 minutes waiting for someone to answer, and I was going to see if they could look up his information. And I thought, 30 or 40 minutes, they are not going to answer. My grandma rings. So I switch over to my grandma and I said, hello, and I had just spoke with her. She said, I came across something, and I think it's what we've been looking for. And just as plain as day, it was a renewal for the insurance policy for a car that my grandpa had and a 1935 Ford pickup, serial number. It's a match. It was the icing, it was the cherry, it was the everything. It was the height of that roller coaster of emotions. I've got goosebumps telling you guys about it. When my grandma read those numbers off and they matched, it was incredible. It was really great. So my aunt and I got in the truck Tuesday evening after I got off work, and we drove. It's only, the guy lived about 2 hours away. That's another major God thing, is that the guy was very local. That this truck has gone from central Illinois to Louisville, Kentucky, back up to central western Indiana, and was 2 hours from where it was restored and where the family of the restorer lives. It's just crazy, absolutely crazy. And my aunt and I went and picked up the truck last night, got home at 11 o'clock, pulled in the driveway. I was beat, and I went right inside and went to bed. And today, I really, really get to soak it in. And it's just really, it's incredible. My papa was my best friend, and I miss him very much. And I know he's in heaven, and I hope that he is smiling upon this whole situation and how crazy it is that it came to this. And I know that he's in paradise. He's not in this truck. This truck isn't my grandpa. He's not here. But my grandpa lives on in my heart. And I hold dear a lot of memories that we made in this truck, or that revolved around this truck and the hill climb. And it's very, very special to have it back. I will own this truck for the rest of my life. And I hope that my descendants keep the truck and enjoy it just like my grandpa did, and just like I'm going to do. Thank you for watching.